What's up? How you doing? Here I am with my daughter Amanda, and we're gonna do some barbecuing here, Korean barbecuing. We have some pork on this side, very fresh, and we have some ribeye on this side, very fresh. So we're gonna start this up, and we have some sesame seed oil here.
I like drinking good.
And we're gonna put it here on top. Well, let's start it up first.
We also got some rice paper, maybe too much. Like it was like 5 billion sheets or something. And it only cost like $3. I don't get why. It's like, there could be like 500 sheets in there, but we're gonna give it to you for $3. Good? Yeah. What's the ball? Look at how cool this thing is. That smells really good. It reminds me of one time I went to one, but I ate so much rice and so much meat that I felt like I was gonna die.
Yeah, was that much?
But it was so good.
So we got the onions on here, we got the pork, and we're gonna put the ribeye.
Well, we already cooked some here. It smells really good. I just want to eat all of them in like 2 seconds.
Try one, see.
It's like bacon.
What's your foot? Well, here we are. We're done with dinner. Thursday night. Very quiet except for a few cars going by. Went to this Korean butcher shop. Really high quality of meat. Very flavorful. Very clean in there. Problem is that when you buy it, it looks like a lot. You're like, this is a lot. Might even be for a couple of days. But then you get back and you cook it, and it starts shrinking and shrinking, and you start thinking, I should have bought double. But you think about it though, double. Now, what I bought today, those cuts of meat and sesame seed leaves, which I love, and some rice paper. My daughters love rice paper. The only thing I know about rice paper is in Kung Fu, the original Kung Fu series with David Carradine, Master Po, Master Khan, and the Shaolin Temple. One of the tests is, can Kane walk on rice paper without tearing it? And at first he couldn't, but then after, he did a couple of spins, a couple of moves that looked like Tai Chi, and he was able to walk on the rice paper without cutting it. But in the original, when he was younger, he walked on it, and then what was it, Master Khan said, turn around, and he looks, and it's all cut. Rice paper's all torn up. So we bought that, rice paper, and some sauce, which I thought was good. But I love taking the meat. I hear somebody going by. I love taking the meat, ribeye, putting it into the sesame seed leaves, putting a little sauce and sauteed onions, and then folding it up like a package or a present for Christmas, and eating it. Tastes really good. So, one thing I miss, and I wish they would bring back the original Chinese fortune gum. When I was a kid, there was a little store next to my school, about a block away. Not next to, but a block away. And when I was in second kindergarten, I would walk home, and I'd make a pit stop at this little store. Very tiny, but the guy had a few things that I liked. One was that I don't even know, I can't think of the name now. Was it Rider, whatever? But it was a little wooden airplane made out of thin, kind of like wafer wood. And I'd buy that. I think it was like 25 cents back then. That's ice. And I'd buy that, and I'd put it together, and then I'd fly it around. It even had a little plastic man that you could put in the cockpit. I go home and I'd fly that, and then about 20 minutes into it, it would break. But the other thing I liked was the Chinese fortune gum that he sold. And back then it was a penny a piece, and I would tell him, give me 100 pieces, and he would count 1, 2. He would do it with 2 fingers, 2, 3, 4. And I was like, how much profit is in this penny a piece gum that he sits there counting 100 pieces for me? And then he'd put a little bag, and I'd grab it and I'd start chewing on the way home. And those pieces of gum, they tasted awesome, but the flavor lasted 2 minutes, and then you put another piece and another piece, and then they stopped making them. You couldn't find them anywhere. And one day I was looking online, and I found somebody who, I guess they bought the recipe and they were making them again. But the one thing I noticed is that cold. The one thing I noticed is very stiff very stiff. So apparently, whatever the recipe was, this guy did not put in the softening ingredient, whoever bought the recipe. They tasted okay, but they just didn't have that soft, chewy thing, whatever that is. But I missed that gum, Chinese fortune gum. It was flat and about that long, and it was wrapped in orange paper, but inside was a little fortune, a little clever thing. It was like a fortune cookie, and I love that gum. They had it when I would go to Maine. They had a store there by York Beach, and I would go in there and I would buy like a couple of hundred pieces of gum, and 3 hours later I'd finish the whole thing. And another place was down the Cape. It was a little store next to a ice cream shop, and I'd go in there and I'd buy the gum, and then 2 hours later it was done. But good flavor. This is a gimmick. You make glasses to put a beverage in, but you make them out of ice. And this is ice, but it melts so fast that you know, and it only holds a little bit. But anyway, that's what we did tonight. We had Korean barbecue. But next time, I'm gonna get the short rib. The meat from the short rib is thicker, so there's some substance there. The stuff I bought today was cut really thin. It's like eating roast beef, a little bit thicker. So, but it was good. But I love the sesame seed leaves. I didn't know what they were, but one time we were over our friend's house, and she's from Korea, and this is years ago, but we were over there, and they cook, you know, cuts of meat and things like that, and then she had sesame seed leaves, and I said, oh, what's that? And I saw her wrapping it up like a little present and eating it, and I go, I'm gonna try that. And I tried, and I became a fan. It's got like a little bit of a minty flavor, but not exactly. Some things they speak to me, and sesame seed leaves, they spoke to me, just like cilantro speaks to me. I never knew what the hell cilantro was, and then about 30 years ago. Yeah, about 30 years ago, I went to a Mexican taco place, and I said to the guy, give me two chicken tacos. And he says to me, what do you want on them? Now, I don't want to sit naming things, so I said everything. So he put onions, and he put cilantro, and then he said, what do you want for sauce? I go, the hot one. So he put the hot one, he wrapped them up. These were big, you know, tacos, big, nice, thick, with a lot of meat, and you know, high quality meat. Anyway, so I sat down in this place in downtown LA, and I ate this, and the cilantro immediately hit me. My head said, what the hell is this stuff? So, you know, I couldn't get enough of it, and then when I would go down there other times, I would tell the guy, extra cilantro. So he would add extra cilantro. Some people, they don't like cilantro. They say it tastes like shaving cream, and you know, and I read it's a genetic thing, you know, where there are people that are you know, disgusted by the flavor of cilantro. I'm not one of them. I could eat my body weight in cilantro and I wouldn't have a problem with it. I love cilantro, and to me, I can put cilantro in anything. When I go to Vegas and I go to the buffet or the buffet, I put cilantro like you can't imagine. I can see the guys dialing up and ordering more when they see me coming, but I love cilantro. And grapeseed leaves, I love them. I mean, I wrap the meat, the ribeye in there, and I eat it, and it's delicious. Yeah. What time is it? I think it's like 11:45. I watch these videos on YouTube where some guy, almost sounds like he's British, but not exactly. He just has that sound to him, and he puts two animals against each other, and he tells you which one would win in a fight. And so he tells you, you know, how strong they are, how much they weigh, how big they, all that stuff. And then at the end, he concludes which animal would win. And for the past 10 days, I've been into those videos. He puts like a gorilla fighting a tiger fighting a lion, an alligator fighting a shark. And it's interesting. I mean, you know, it's not like he has video of these events taking place. It's just him using statistics and, you know, size of body and strength and all of that, and teeth, and telling you what he thinks, you know. And for the most part, I agree with him. One time I was sitting out here like 2 years ago, and all of a sudden a big flash was like lightning, but there was no there wasn't a cloud in the sky, but it was like lightning. And then about 10 seconds later, a second one, really powerful, lit up the sky. You know, it was dark out, and all of a sudden it was bright for like a tenth of a second. And then I went inside and I went on the internet to see if anybody reported anything. And apparently a transformer blew up about a half a mile from here, and it lit up the whole place. And I don't know, it blew up twice, or two transformers blew up, because it did it 2 times. And I was shooting video while, you know, this was happening, and I caught it on video. It was like a really creepy thing. The whole sky became like bright for like tenth of a second. I don't go to sleep until everybody in my neighborhood goes to sleep. I feel like I'm tucking them in and telling them a bedtime story. My daughter gave me like coin candy. I don't know if you can see, it's kind of dark, but this is like a $50 JFK. I remember when I was a kid, we would get these things and eat them. I'm a big chocolate eater. Love chocolate. But, I mean, I love any chocolate, but I love the dark stuff. You know, I mean, it can't be the dark stuff where you're cooking with it, you know, that bitter, you know, but I love dark chocolate. And milk chocolate, and white chocolate, and anything in between. Big fan of chocolate. If I have chocolate in front of me, I can't stop eating it. But high quality chocolate, not... I mean, Hershey's is okay, but I mean, it has to be like the good stuff. Godiva. Yeah, I love chocolate. Remember Ovaltine? Need more Ovaltine. I used to drink Ovaltine once in a while. Not too much, but once in a while. I was a chocolate milk guy as a kid. You know, up like really early, and then I gave it up. But at my school in first grade, teacher would say, raise your hand if you want chocolate milk for next week. They had to take in like a count so that they would purchase the right amount, and I would always raise my hand for chocolate milk. And then on Monday there would be a kid, like a 4th grader. He would show up with a crate, 2 crates, and he would drop them off in the room. In first grade, we used to eat lunch in our class, and everybody would get their milk delivered. And then I would sit at my desk, they'd give me a chocolate milk. I love that chocolate milk. Hood was the company that made it. And I'd have like a bologna sandwich. My friend next to me, he had a bologna sandwich every day. but he also had a bag of chips. And so he would sit next to me, and we were all quiet. You know, lunchtime, we had a lunch monitor. And he would take a sandwich apart, open up the bag of chips, and he would put the chips on top of the bologna sandwich, and then put the bread on top and start eating it. And I was a bit envious. I was like, that looks good. How come I don't get chips like that? But he always ate bologna sandwiches. I had variety of different things. The only thing I never had was peanut butter and jelly. My mother had no idea about how to put this thing together. So I had other things, but never peanut butter and jelly. So I'd be thinking, what is this combination, this weird peanut butter and jelly? So I never had that, but you know, I had a lot of stuff. I had a $6 Million Man lunchbox the second half of the year, and the first half of the year I had a Boston Bruins lunchbox. But the Boston Bruins lunchbox was kind of like forced on me. I mean, I agreed to it, but my uncle, he's like, you know, he took me to get a lunchbox at the A&P. And I was looking at all of them nice and slow, and he was getting all like frustrated. He's like, just pick one, he goes, and I didn't know what to pick. And then he goes, pick the Bruins, they're a good team. So I grabbed that, not knowing, you know, what the Bruins really were. And then halfway in the year, I was at, I don't know if I was at Woolworths, I think I was at Woolworths, 5 and 10, the 5 and dime as they called it. And I saw the $6 Million Man lunchbox, and I was a huge fan at the time, and I said to my father, can I get that? And he said, sure. So I grabbed that, and I love that lunchbox. Lunchtime was fun time, you know, you'd go and grab your lunchbox. But in those days, they didn't have, at least for the size I wanted, they didn't have a metal thermos like they do now that keeps things cold without worrying that you're going to break it. They had those glass ones, and for me, the glass one always lasted about a week. Then I would drop it, you know, it'd fall off my desk or something, and it would break. It was all glass inside. So now they have the, you know, the nice steel ones that keep beverages cold for like 24 hours. But when I was a kid, they didn't have that. They might have had it for the big ones, but the little ones, they were all glass or plastic. So yeah, much better now. So I had that lunchbox, and then they would bring that milk, and that milk tasted so good. But I used to drink white milk when I was little, regular milk, and then I went to a place where they didn't have that kind of milk, and they had cow's milk. So yeah, they brought me the cow's milk, like straight out of the cow, and they boiled it to kill the bacteria, and they poured me a glass, and it had a skin on top. When it started to cool down a little bit, it had formed a skin, and it had a very peculiar odor. And I took a whiff of that, and I said, I don't want to drink that. I'm not a fan of that smell. So they said, okay. So then we went somewhere else, and they kind of had the pasteurized, homogenized milk where the fat didn't separate. And it was pretty good. But that experience with that cow milk, it killed my milk habit. And after the age of 6, I didn't drink milk anymore. I mean, I would have it in my cereal a little bit, and chocolate milk I would have for lunch. But even that was limited. But that experience with that smelly cow stuff, I did not appreciate it, and so I gave up the milk. And then I never had the urge again to have a glass of milk. Yeah, I mean, milk is for the baby calves, right? You get to be an adult, you're not drinking milk from your mother anymore. So yeah, I rarely drink milk. Like, I'll put a little bit in my coffee, but I don't have it on a, you know, regular basis in a glass. You know, some people are like, I'm gonna have a glass of milk. I never say that. Anyway, that's it. It's just me out here. And because my voice carries at night, you know how voices carry at night, you can hear people. There's probably somebody in one of these houses and they're listening to me, saying, who the hell is he talking to? And I'll say this, in the old days, if you saw somebody talking like I'm talking now, first thing would be like, yeah, that's a crazy, it's a crazy person. But nowadays, because you see so many people talking to themselves when they're actually talking, you know, with a Bluetooth or something, or the phone is here, it's acceptable. Nobody looks crazy anymore talking to themselves. You'll drive by a car and you'll look at the driver next to you and he's yapping away. He's like, I did this today, I did that, and you go, he's talking on the phone. But if this was 1985 and you saw that, yeah, you would say, yeah, that person's crazy. So if anybody's watching me now from like a window with binoculars, they say, oh, he's videotaping. So that's it. Time to go inside and get some sleep eventually. And tomorrow we're going to see that Jurassic Park movie. I'm a big fan of those movies. I mean, the concept more than the movie. Wouldn't that be cool if we could extract DNA from, I don't know, millions of years back, and then assemble it again, and somehow, you know, get an animal to be created from old DNA and bring it back from extinction? That would be awesome. But so far they haven't found complete DNA where they can actually do that. But eventually, they may not be able to do it today, but in 50, 100 years, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if they bring back prehistoric animals. And even if they can't bring them back, they can recreate DNA eventually, where they can figure out the sequence and kind of create an animal from scratch. Sounds hard, but in the future, you know, things like that can happen. Very quiet. And here you are talking nice and quietly, and all of a sudden somebody like Jason pops out the side over there with a knife or a big machete. Anyway, that's it. I'm done.